Welcome again to another episode of the WSXM podcast. As always, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. Once you like the video, just do all those stuff. It helps with the algorithm to show the videos out to the masses. Anyway, and also, United Africa is an undisputed Africa. So let's get into something that's going to affect the Caribbean drastically. And I hope I'm a Jamaican, and I hope Jamaican government do not sign this new ACP agreement, ACP EU agreement, because it's going to be detrimental to my country and to the other Caribbean islands that are also involved in this and Africans. But it's the A. Let's for those who don't know what the ACP is, let's get into it and then I'll explain it along the way. And let's put this picture up. Look here. So that's it right there. Let's go through what it is, so we can discuss it after. So here we go. What is the ACP-EU agreement? The ACP-EU partnership agreement is a revised extension of the 20-year cantonal partnership agreement signed in 2000, governing trade and economic relations between the EU and all 48 sub-Saharan countries in Africa, 16 Caribbean countries, and 15 Pacific countries. It was to expire in 2020, but was extended until a new 20-year binding agreement can be put in place, called the ACP-EU agreement. So that's what the ACP is. It's a treatment agreement where these 79 or 78 countries, they can trade, but they all answer to the EU, which means anything the EU or the Americans does, it's always in their benefit. It's never in the benefit of whoever they sign any agreement with. So don't be fooled by this and say, "Oh, yeah, it's an agreement." But let's get into it a little further before we start discussing what on there. Let's continue reading. What does the ACP stand for? Stand for countries. ACP is the African, Caribbean, and Pacific Group of States. Is an organization composed of 79 African, Caribbean, and Pacific states, created by the Georgetown Agreement in 1975. All of them, except Cuba, are signature are signatories of the Canton Agreement, also known as the ACP-EC Partnership Agreement. But let me tell you, let's look at which countries now are involved in this. So you have, for the Caribbean islands specifically, Antigua and Barbuda, Bahamas, Barbados, Belize. Cuba didn't sign. Dominican Republic, Grenada, Guyana, Haiti, Jamaica, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines. Suriname, Trinidad and Tobago, West Africa. Okay, so Africa has 55 countries, and only 48 of them signed this agreement, the last agreement. The Pacific Islands, I don't know much about them, but I know you have like Pacific countries mean like the Samoa, Fiji, Malaysia, Japan, those countries, that's the Pacific side. But I'm Jamaican, so I'm going to talk about the Caribbean and also about the African continent because I love the continent. But my place of birth is I'm a Jamaican, so this is going to affect Jamaica drastically. And why? Before I go any further, there's in the treaty they are putting in some new what do they call it? Some new agreement, some new extension. So let's get into it. Let's put back up this so you can read it with me. Why should the ACP-EU treaty be rejected? The proposed treaty, referred to as the ACP-EU Partnership Agreement, is accused of being manipulative, binding 20-year treaty between 79 countries, 79 African, Caribbean, and Pacific countries and the European Union, representing over 1.5 billion people. And this is the most important part. Although it is promoted as an economic and trade agreement, it also has many deceptive provisions that advance, listen, abortion, CSE, and LGBT agendas in the ACP countries. CSC, for those of who don't know what the CSE is, it's I think it's something like curtailing sexual education. It's like a sex ed program. But in this sex ed program, Let's dive into it. They are teaching kids about homosexuality, about lesbianism, um, gender, sex change, and all that stuff. And then and the LGBT is behind it, and also abortion is a part of it. So this is where the provisions now in this deal, is putting it to is very manipulative as I read, and it's very deceptive in the sense that once you sign this treaty, this agreement, that means you have to accept all these other provisions into. But what they do, they hid it in the treaty. They did not make the countries know. I do know that Kenya signed it recently, but Jamaica hasn't signed it yet. So let's continue. So what they do, they hide this provision in the treaty, and they don't tell countries about it, and then it's a ploy to control countries and to force LGBTQ um, and sex and they want to force it down on especially the Caribbean and African countries and also in the schools. And this is what their main goal is to get the kids from they are young. And what we always say, this generation is going to be the leaders of tomorrow. So if they can get into the heads of these kids, I'm talking about teaching this in school, lesbianism, homosexuality, and sex change. I'm not talking about like high school. I'm talking about basic school. I'm talking about 3, 4 year olds. This is what they want to teach to our 3 year old kids and our 4 year old kids in basic school. Even in elementary level, they have elementary books now. I saw this one book that the author was written named the Gay BCs. That book is actually in pre-kindergarten, in pre-care. That's what they're reading to these kids. And so they're trying to brainwash and manipulate the kids from young, mold them into this, to conform to the new norms. So African countries, all 55 countries, well, let's say maybe one or two, is strictly ban and is anti-gay. They ban homosexuality in most of these African countries. The Caribbean also on a whole is not as strong as in the it's not as strong um as the African countries, but it's still rejected, but it's still accepted on a minute level, which means um it's you can have it there and we can see them, but it's not push and it's not promote. But now they want to force it on these countries once they're into this deal. Because if you sign this treaty and it's not a trade, and then they say, oh, you put in a law so that okay, you can't teach kids about sex until say high school. They can come and say, well, you're voiding the contract. Sylvie, sorry. So they are voiding the talking. They will void the contract, and then the country can affect the country economically. In the sense like, for instance, Uganda passed this strict anti-gay law recent this year, and the AGOT, which is the AGOA program, is just like this one. The ACP is a trade agreement with a few African countries, and they because of they passing that law, they actually kick them out, and that's a $500 million blow to the economy. They will recover, but the fact that they drop them so fast, it's gonna affect people on a level right down to the grassroots. But if they didn't sign that agreement, now they could have looked for other traders and then trade, like for instance Russia, China, India, and even Caribbean. But this is what I want people to start to do is to speak to your parliamentarians, your politicians about this treaty, about be wary of signing it because you're gonna accept everything that comes with it, and then once you violate it, boom, they can sanction you. And this is the key: they want to sanction people, punish countries, and then make the to cast like how they did with Haiti. They want to do that to black people on a whole, or like in Sudan where they causing conflicts, or in the countries where they sanction and then they blame the government for the economy doing poorly, not knowing that there's the EU countries and the Americans who are the ones that are behind this push. So Their idea is to push homosexuality down the throat of everyone from baby level, no matter which country you are, as long as you're African and Caribbean and the Pacific. Caribbean countries, these Pacific countries. Pacific, not Pacific, the Pacific countries. My pronunciation is so like as I said, like Malaysia, Samoa, like those countries, Japan, those countries back in in the Pacific Ocean left side. So speak to your make this be known, and there's you can go online and type in ACP agreement, the ACP-EU agreement, and you can find all kind of information on it. I'm just leaving you know that I hope the Jamaican government does not get involved in this because we have Jamaica have election next year, so there'll be a new government. So let's hope this old government doesn't sign anything. So when new one come in, they have this to deal with. So let's hope the politician in Jamaica is listening, and I hope, and there's a few people in Jamaica is already talking about this, the ACP-EU agreement. So let's hope they are listening, and you have other people all over the world who is anti for kids being teach about homosexuality and sex change and homosexuality and lesbianism from preschool level. So there's a big push on it. So let's keep up with it. And as I said, African countries already don't care about this treaty because they're saying that they already have passed laws banning homosexuality, outlawed it. So that's a given. Let's see what happens. Barbados is doing great, as he's making great strive in this area as well with their pushing back heavily on this because don't forget Bahamas is one of the only Caribbean islands that's fully autonomous. When we say fully autonomous, they no longer have the King of England as the head of state. Jamaica still do, even though we got independent in '62. We got independence. Even though Jamaica was never fully independent. They still have to get the king the king have to sign off on certain laws, even laws. So we're not fully autonomous as yet. Barbados is. So they're the only one who can make this decision on their own. So let's get together, make Jamaica become fully independent, fully autonomous, separated from England. The king is no longer the head of state. It's in process, so let's hope they push it a little further so it can go faster and not getting involved with this treaty. So let me know what you think about this in the comment section. If you know what it is, if you know what I'm talking about, and do you agree with me or not. So comment section, let me know. And as well, as I always say, a united Africa is an undisputed Africa. So let's get together and spread the word. Boom.